Welcome everyone to Pontos Fathom Hobbies. This is Season 4 of Dune Gale Force 9, the board game, and we are setting up the episode that we're calling the Alchemy of Dune. We'll be featuring 4 of the major houses as we fast forward through this setup. We'll go into each of those factions, how they set up, what their strategies are, and get into a gameplay with that. We're also going to be featuring William Mitchell's Alchemy and Anthroposophy in the Dune Saga, a book that helps to sponsor this channel. Going to deep dive into Dune, Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune, and the later books like Heretics and Chapter House. So hopefully it'll be interesting for everyone. We'll finish the setup and then get right into turn number 1. Thanks for watching. Okay, so let's finish up the setup for Season 4 of Gale Force 9 Dune board game. We will be playing with the 4 factions of the Bene Gesserit, where they start with 1 force in the polar sink and 19 forces in the reserve with 1 spice. So let's put 1 force in the polar sink here. We'll be playing with the Spacing Guild. Spacing Guild starts with 5 forces in 2x siege and 15 forces off-world there. So let's put 5 of these in 2x siege. Next up, we'll play with the Ixians. The Ixians start out with 6 forces, 3 cyborgs, and 3 suboids. So 3 cyborgs in the hidden mobile stronghold. With the rest remaining in reserve. So we'll get these here. We'll have that placed on the board as well. Here's the hidden mobile stronghold. So we can place this here in the Great Flat. And then the Tleilaxu, they start with 20 forces in reserve off planet. So the Tleilaxu have their reserves off planet. We'll grab the rest of our Ixians and we'll place them in reserve as well. Our Ixians. This actually is the Tleilaxu. Our Ixians will be here. With 5 spice. Our Ixians start with 10 spice. And we'll leave these here. Yeah, so we're calling this episode the the Alchemy of Dune episode, featuring these 4 houses. We're going to be featuring the Alchemy and Anthroposophy in the Dune Saga. We'll be doing some readings from this. This is a collection of our podcasts and essays from the Dune Saga. So if you're a huge Dune fan like we are, this can help us support the channel, and we can get deep dive into things like Worms and the Water of Life, the Bene Gesserit, the Butlerian Jihad, other memories. We've got there's a chapter in here on the Tleilaxu originary Evo theory, in Theories and Heretics of Dune and Chapter House Dune. So we'll do some selection readings from this as we go forward. Let's go ahead and continue our setup round. Next up, we'll take our trader cards. We've already removed out the trader cards for the houses not mentioned. So we'll kind of shuffle these up. And each house can select 4. So we'll do 4 for Ixians, 4 for the Spacing Guild, 4 for the Tleilaxu, and 4 for the Bene Gesserit. And we'll go ahead and let's select these. So from the Ixians, let's have them, they're going to pick The Ixians will pick Mother Ramallo as the trader. They can place her here. The Spacing Guild will pick the Ixians as their trader they can play with. Next we'll have the Tleilaxu. They will grab a Spacing Guild trader. And the Bene Gesserit they have a Tleilaxu as well as the trader. So that's going to do it for that. Let's shuffle these back into the deck. Next up, we've got our spice deck ready to go here. We can shuffle that up. We've got our treachery cards. We'll shuffle these ones up and give each of our houses a treachery card. So first off, we'll have for the Ixians, Kul Wahad, a worthless card. For Spacing Guild, we'll get a cheap hero. For the Tleilaxu, we get the Jabba Cloak, worthless card. And for the Bene Gesserit, we get Ilaka Drug. Okay, so place that there. Then for the Storm Track, well, we can do that on the first turn. So we'll place the Storm Track for the first turn when we get to that. The first storm. We've got our game turn marker on round 1. We've got our phase marker here. We can mark through the phases. And we've got our battle wheels set up. These are ready to go. And let's put each of our we'll get our, I'm going to reduce these this way. We'll just put our cups for each of the players by each of their decks. Spacing Guild, Tleilaxu, and we're going to do something a little bit different in this gameplay. What we're going to do is, instead of doing 4 turns on each of our episodes, we're going to focus really deep on each of the episodes, on each of the houses. So for example, for round 1, we'll do the Ixians, we're going to do the Spacing Guild, we're going to do the Tleilaxu, and we're going to do the Bene Gesserit, and go deep dive into their strategies, how they're going to work, and go forward like that. And then we can go turn by turn this way. So hopefully that way, I really want to focus on deep diving on each of the houses and getting into the strategies. You know, we're calling this idea, this episode, the Alchemy and Anthroposophy in the Dune Saga. But one of those things that Frank Herbert really focused on in the Dune Saga, and it's in the essay here we talk about, when we talk about Jungian alchemy in Frank Herbert's Dune, is the way that Herbert actually used psychological types to frame out his characters. So if we deep dive into each of these houses, we're really going to get behind the mindset of playing an effective game of Dune, which is really a game of conquest, diplomacy, and betrayal. So like, we're looking forward to jumping into it that way. Hopefully it's something a little different for you guys. So yeah, looking forward for that. That's going to wrap it up for the initial setup for season 4. So we'll see you in round number 1. Before we do, I do want to call out that Dune Alchemy quote here, where it says Frank Herbert's influence from Jungian alchemy. He says, Today we'll be discussing Frank Herbert's Dune, its influences, and the detail from Carl Jung's work in the collective unconscious, alchemy, and his magnum opus, the Mysterium Conjunctionis, as it relates to Dune. This is one of the first of a number of Dune podcasts we'll do this month. Other ones will include topics about Dune and other interesting findings. Hopefully you'll be interested in Dune and interested in finding some correspondences between Dune and some of Frank Herbert's influences. Also, we'll call out to Dune Revenant. We have a hardcover edition of the 25th introduction of Dune Revenant, a fan fiction of the 7th Dune book that predates the prequels back to the days of the Usenet. This is compiled as completing the saga that Frank Herbert began. So anyone who's read Dune knows that he's really done one of the epics of world building in science fiction. Writing Dune, not only in Dune, but the sequels that he wrote after Dune. The richness of Dune is one of the many reasons why it resonates. But why is it so? Why do people love Dune so much? What went on with Frank Herbert? We know Frank Herbert was a very interesting character. One of the interesting anecdotes is that when he was working on Dune, Frank Herbert utilized Jungian mandalas. Now, when we say Jungian mandalas, we're really talking about features that Jung explored. So the feature that Jung explored was in his clinical works. Jung would use mandalas and Eastern thinking to help coax out details about his cases. He would use these mandalas as he studied actual mandalas from religion. But you can see this one, there's the air world, there's the earth world with birds and serpents. And again, the serpent motif is present. So you see the serpent motif in the idea of the sandworms. And obviously we've got this giant representation of that here in the cover. So we'll do a little reading from the book. We'll see you in round number 1. Looking forward to getting into the strategies of the Ixians, the Spacing Guild, the Tleilaxu, and the Bene Gesserit. And thanks a lot for watching. Talk to you in the next turn. Bye-bye.